TikTok is banned. Yes, the Can Commander-in-Chief has taken aim and blame at the mainstream media's most wicked enemy and entity of TikTok. What's going on, and welcome to the channel. Thanks for joining today. We are cutting deep into the creeping, corrupt censorship, sweeping the nations from USA and Canada to the UK, Ireland, and France, all sounding like a romance with the new cultural revolution. Let me cut to the quick chase for those that don't know what that is. It might sound like a cool title, how hip and chic, a cultural revolution. It's not. It's a Marxist maniacal mentality for absolute mayhem, destruction, disaster, where everyone will have a new master. Side note, in a related story, canceled story Don Lemon got squeezed out of his new show on X because Elon said it in short, and I don't quote, I summarize, "You suck lemons, Don." However, Don squeezed his bitterness back in a wrath of wordy weapons attacks that lack substance and suggest it's because he's black. What? Not lacking your journalist integrity or quality or being even remotely cool, but yeah, make it about race. When they hire or replace you, that's a safe space for blackface. But Don, when Elon gives you lemons, just say fuck the lemons and bail.
Hey, here's the deal. When life gives you lemons, just say fuck the lemons and bail.
Now let me go with the show. And no, I promise you a fun ride as today's guide to what's going on, and I got a lot to say in a fun way, so let's get into it, shall we? Be sure to spike the like and subscribe if this your vibe and tribe. Anyhow, take the bribe, money. And here what's tragically funny about the world today. When they moved to ban TikTok, Nancy Pelosi had this to say.
This is not an attempt to ban TikTok. It's an attempt to make TikTok better. Tic-tac-toe, a winner. A winner, like the destruction of their democracy.
Tic-tac-toe, oh, I'm so old, oh. Yes, the old maid is old and holding her own card and is hard told what to say most of the time, just like her online stock portfolio, making her insider trading for more than just baseball cards. And a hard pardon me for beating off a dead horse, of course. Her husband Paul was with that deranged gay male hooker who just happened to open the front door for the police to find the two men in their underwear. But we don't care about that old news, who hammered who views. But we do care about what youths of TikTok will do. Where will they go to show their booty-shaking butts? And where else can we get a daily dose of scrolling smut? Biden will say, shut the front door to those CCP spy apps. And he prefers a homegrown American wiretap. Yes, this is more ushering in the control measures to monitor and manipulate you. And just in time for the 2024 election, that gives this ban a suspicious plan to scan the people of their platforms and limit information and voting registration. Because calling it Russian or Chinese communist disinformation is not working, as well as the illegal immigration invasion. This is not about Chinese data capture. This is about American capturing the flag of your freedom and free speech and free right to choose where you might get your news or views from, and is framed as a protection but is more absolute censorship in all directions in order to stop another planned stage January 6th insurrection. To protect you from China, how about protect the people from their own alphabet organizations, corrupting and controlling the world's nations? Meanwhile, the Chinese own most of the farmland in the United States, well between the CCP and Bill Gates. Controlling the food supply has nothing to do with what they're feeding you, but more to do with what you might think by learning something on social media. If you want to control the role of Chinese in your country, then TikTok is not your top concern when they got chopstick in your food, land, water, and communist hands importing and exporting your sweatshop brands. Economy experts that export the goods from China being made in China but sold in America, making China rich out of the pockets of poor Americans. But don't stop TikTok. Stop your dollar stores. The scores of items made on Chinese shores sold as Nikes, Yeezys, and cancerous confectionaries. But hey, don't forget the debt, or let us skip over the education funded in billions to American institutions and universities under the Communist Party's plans to corrupt the curriculum and the indoctrination of generations of woke students who studied under paid-off communist professors progressive, defective, deceptive ideologies in the psychologies of universities, paving the path for more communist parties teaching woke agenda and gender-bending manipulation for the demoralization of the nation, curating hate and divisive debates about race and gender, all to end the nuclear family, tear the people from their roots, and rob them of heritage and tradition for the new communist fiction in 1984, opening the virtual and reality door to more terror and tyranny across the nations and growing this uncivil civilization. This destabilization is part of the organization of the opposition to the Western world and is hurled as a ball of hate to gate out what makes the West great and is repackaged not as classes versus the masses, the poor against the rich, or elites versus the streets. These captains of capitalism will still exist, and we must resist them. But they twisted this into a tryst to now be about love, sex, gender, and race, to replace one race for another, to usher in more Big Brother, and use confusing, abusing language and weaponizing words to divide the men and women. The battle of sexes being rejected as ridiculous, as this is the fundamental root of all human life. So to pit them against each other, mother against father, and all those other isms used to confuse and delude and deceive you, and not believe in ancestry, and to be taught the wrong history, to deny truth, and as not enough proof, to deny biology for psychology and call it social construct, is to deconstruct common sense and common decency for a descent into the depth of the blag, a lie, and drag us and drag all down to die over DEI, diversity and inclusion. It means exclude white people and anyone being equal, and have less of them unless they choose to use invented, inverted pronouns, and debase reality on the spectrum of their feelings, while ingesting disgusting fake food that triggers their mood, washed down in crude and rusted wastewater, both caked and covered in chemicals, equally as coated as their air and what they wear, and spray on their grounds and gardens, only to drink that up, ending in endocrine receptors. These deceptors with satanic scepters are the true poison corruptors, as cancer through all of you. And yes, if you cry and believe in the lie because you're blinded by the blue light and red dye and are myopic, but blame and claim to smash the patriarchy for being toxic. But blame and ban China for TikTok, but not for the Wuhan plan problem, unless you had a hand in funding those biolabs and jab-like weapons, because it's all about protecting the American people from a social media app, because this enters an open door policy to end whatever apps and social platforms that don't tap dance to the tune they command, as he who plays the piper calls the tune. And it's too soon for freedom to be free, and they want to control the role of everybody in every society, and they must control the whole show. So you know, if you don't or won't conform or perform as they want you to, then it's goodbye to you too. And X, I'm talking about you. This is true. They are coming for any and all of you who preach and teach freedom for free speech. The digital AI arm is armed for unlimited overreach, and it's truly the end of truth and free speech. What more proof? Check the halos, footnotes got hoofs, as the blue-haired goose and non-binary ones are run by white-haired goons with primarily guns and tons of money loaners and launderers. That's how this all works. Follow the money. And it's scary how not funny the fate of everybody is in the hands, lands, and brands of corrupt corporations' control. And we are not nations. We will run by entities and corporations. For the occupation of your mind with blind nonsense, to create defensive inclusive confusion and promote hopeless delusions and propagate hate to make it a state crime for any mind that is not blind and can see the Marxist markers on the wall. That calls for an open door policy for planned man immigration and illegal alien invasion of an already programmed population by communism manipulation for absolute domination and strangulation of what's left for the West asked for homogenization by the globalization corporations. But if you think that censorship is the worst of all, freedom of expression and free speech, well, it pales in comparison to the corrupt communist-controlled puppet with perfect hair, Justin Trudeau, who is, as you know, the next great dictator of the modern world, following in his two heroes' footsteps, Mao and Stalin, and in the footsteps of his two dads, Infidel and Castro. I know, it's just a joke, just a jest. We know what he's really doing. His best to turn the West into the Soviet Union without any communion, as he truly loves tyranny. And his latest and greatest for a fate we can all hate is his authoritarian act that is so unbelievable. Many onlines don't believe it and call it fake news, but it's in fact Trudeau. And in case you don't know, it's a very broad and vague new bill passed that allows him to kick your ass. Anyone to complain about anything online and in secret, which then would incriminate the offender for life in prison with no judicial process, only a private tribunal. Basically, Minority Report meets Judge Dredd, where whoever is triggered can anonymously report someone online's content for things they might say. A so-called pre-thought crime for words they might say, not backed up by any actions. And then this would enact a super goof troop of total corrupt paid off official officers to storm your platform and your front door with charges and fines to ban you online and force you to wear an ankle tracking bracelet under home lockdown and get charged obscene fines of something like 70 grand and then be thrown in prison for life. No judicial process, no lawyer, no debate or public hearings or appeals, just whatever Justin feels and does not align with his mental ideals, and for any one of his ultra over-feeling triggered weak woke mob followers who are hollow and shallow and only to someday themselves wind up in the gallows with their own fellow offenders. This is absolute end of democracy and any freedoms, any free rights, and any free speech, and the end of the true North, strong and free. It's more Trudeau, North, Soviets, and tyranny.
TikTok, TikTok.